Leviticus chapter 5. If a soul sins after hearing a charge of an oath, and he is a witness whether he has seen or otherwise known, if he fails to report it, then he will bear his guilt. Or if a person touches any unclean thing, whether it is the carcass of an unclean animal, or the carcass of unclean livestock, or the carcass of unclean creeping things, though it is hidden from him, still he is unclean, and he will be guilty. Or if he touches some human uncleanness, whatever his filth is by which he is unclean, though it is hidden from him, when he knows of it, then he will be guilty. Or if a person swears rashly with his lips to do evil or to do good, about anything that one might utter rashly by an oath, though it is hidden from him, when he realizes it, then he will be guilty of one of these. So it will be when one becomes guilty of one of these things, he shall confess about what he has sinned. Then he is to bring his trespass offering to Adonai for his sin that he committed, a female from the flock, a lamb or a goat, as a sin offering. So the Kohen is to make atonement for him over his sin. But if one cannot afford a lamb, then he shall bring as his trespass offering for the sin he committed 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons to Adonai. One is for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering. He is to bring them to the Kohen, who will present the one for the sin offering first, and twist its head from its neck, but not sever it completely. He is to sprinkle some of the blood of the sin offering on the side of the altar, while the rest of the blood is to be drained out at the base of the altar. It is a sin offering. He is to make the second a burnt offering, according to the regulation. So the Kohen is to make atonement for one over his sin that he committed, and he will be forgiven. But if one cannot afford 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, then he is to bring as his offering for the sin he has committed 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour as a sin offering. He is to put no oil on it, nor put any frankincense on it, for it is a sin offering. He is to bring it to the Kohen, then the Kohen is to take his handful of it as a memorial portion and burn it up as a smoke on the altar. On Adonai's offerings by fire, it is a sin offering. The Kohen is to make atonement for him over his sin that one has committed in any of these things, and he will be forgiven. The rest belongs to the Kohen, just like the meal offering. Adonai spoke to Moshe, saying, if anyone commits a faithless act and sins unwittingly against the holy things of Adonai, then he is to bring his trespass offering to Adonai, a ram without blemish from the flock, according to your value in silver shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary, for a trespassing offering. He is to make restitution for that which he has done wrong in regard to the holy thing, and is required to add a 5th part to it and give it to the Kohen. So the Kohen will make atonement for him with a ram of the trespass offering, and he will be forgiven. Now if anyone sins and does one of Adonai's commandments that are not to be done, though he did not know it, still he is guilty and will bear his iniquity. He is to bring to the Kohen a ram without blemish from the flock, according to your value, as a trespass offering. Then the Kohen is to make atonement for him over the sin that he committed unknowingly, and he will be forgiven. It is a trespass offering. He is absolutely guilty before Adonai. Then Adonai spoke to Moshe, saying, suppose anyone sins and commits a faithless act against Adonai by dealing falsely with his neighbor in a matter of a deposit or a pledge of hands, or through robbery, or has extorted from his neighbor, or has found what was lost and lied about it, swearing falsely, so sinning in one of any of these things that a man may do, then it will be, when he has sinned and he has become guilty, that he must restore what he took by robbery, or what he got by extortation, or the deposit that was committed to him, and or what was lost that he found, or anything about which he has sworn falsely. He is to restore it in full, and add a 5th part more to it. He must give it to the one to whom it belongs on the day of presenting his trespass offering. He is to bring his trespass offering to Adonai, a ram without blemish from the flock, according to your value, for a trespass offering to the Kohen. The Kohen shall make atonement for him before Adonai, and he will be forgiven, concerning whatever he may have done to become guilty. Chapter 6. Adonai spoke to Moshe, saying, Command Aaron and his sons, saying, This is the Torah of the burnt offering. The burnt offering shall remain on the hearth atop the altar all night until the morning, while the fire of the altar is kept burning on it. The Kohen is to put on his linen garment with his linen undergarments on his body. He is to remove the fat ashes from where the fire has consumed the burnt offering on the altar, put them beside the altar. Then he is to take off his garments, put on other ones, and carry the ashes outside the camp to a clean place. The fire on the altar is to be kept burning on it. It must not go out. Each morning the Kohen is to burn wood on it, laying the burnt offering in order upon it, and burning up as smoke the fat of the fellowship offerings. Fire is to be kept burning on the altar continually. It must not go out. Now this is the Torah of the grain offering. Aaron's sons are to offer it to Adonai in front of the altar. So he is to lift up from it his handful of the fine flour of the grain offering, with some of its oil and all the frankincense which is on the grain offering, and burn it up as smoke on the altar for a soothing aroma, as its memorial portion to Adonai. Then what is left from it, Aaron and his sons are to eat it. It is to be eaten as matzah in a holy place, in the courtyard of the tent of meeting. It must not be baked with chametz. I have given it as their portion of my offering made by fire. It is most holy, like the sin offering and like the trespass offering. Every male among the children of Aaron may eat it as their portion forever throughout your generations, from the offerings of Adonai made by fire. Whoever touches them will become holy. Adonai spoke to Moshe, saying, This is the offering of Aaron and his sons, which they are to offer to Adonai on the day when he is anointed, the 10th part of the ephah of fine flour for a continual grain offering, half of it in the morning and half of it in the evening. It is to be made with oil on a pan. When it is soaked, you shall bring it in. You are to present the grain offering in baked pieces as a soothing aroma to Adonai. The anointed Kohen, who will be in his place from among his sons, is to offer it as an eternal statute. It must be entirely burnt up as smoke to Adonai. Thus every grain offering to a Kohen is to be a whole offering. It shall not be eaten. Adonai spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to Aaron and to his sons, saying, This is the Torah of the sin offering in the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered. The sin offering is to be slaughtered before Adonai. It is most holy. The Kohen who offers it for sin shall eat it. It must be eaten in a holy place, in the courtyard of the tent of meeting. Whatever touches its flesh will be holy. When any of its blood is splattered on a garment, you are to wash it in a holy place. But the earthen vessel in which it is boiled is to be broken, and if it is boiled in a bronze vessel, it is to be scored, then rinsed in water. Every male among the Kohanim is to eat of it. It is most holy. But no sin offering from which any of the blood is brought into the tent of meeting to make atonement in the holy place is to be eaten. It must be burned up with fire. Chapter 7. This is the Torah of the trespass offering. It is most holy. In the place where they slaughter the burnt offering, he is to slaughter the trespass offering, and he is to splash its blood around on the altar. He shall offer all of its fat, the fat tail and the fat that covers the innards, along with the 2 kidneys and the fat that is on them, which is by the loins, plus the cover on the liver that he is to remove with the kidneys. Then the Kohen shall burn them up as smoke on the altar for an offering made by fire to Adonai. It is a trespassing offering, and every male among the Kohanim may eat it. It is to be eaten in a holy place. It is most holy. As is the sin offering, so is the trespass offering. There's one Torah for them. They are for the Kohen who makes atonement with them. The Kohen who offers anyone's burnt offering, that Kohen is to have for himself the hide of the burnt offering, which he has offered. Every meal offering that is baked in the oven, and all that is prepared on the flat plate and on the pan, is to belong to the Kohen who offers it. Every grain offering, whether mixed with oil or dry, belongs to all the sons of Aaron equally. Now this is the Torah of the sacrifice of fellowship offering, which may be offered to Adonai. If he brings it for thanksgiving, then he is to present with the sacrifice of thanksgiving matzah cakes mixed with oil, matzah wafers anointed with oil, and fine flour cakes mixed with oil. He is to present his offerings with the sacrifice of his fellowship offerings for thanksgiving, along with cakes of bread with hametz. From each he is to offer one out of every offering as a gift to Adonai. It will belong to the Kohen who sprinkles the blood of the fellowship offerings. The meat of the sacrifice of his fellowship offerings for thanksgiving is to be eaten on the day of his offering. He has not to leave any of it until the morning. But if the sacrifice of his offering is a vow or a free will offering, it is to be eaten on the day that he has offered his sacrifice. On the next day, what remains of it may be eaten. But what remains of the meat of the sacrifice on the third day is to be burnt up with fire. If any of the meat of the sacrifice of his fellowship offering is eaten on the third day, it will not be accepted, nor will it be credited to him who offers it. It will be a foul thing, and the soul who eats any of it will bear his own iniquity. The meat that touches any unclean thing is not to be eaten. It is to be burned up with fire. As for the meat, everyone who is clean may eat of it. But the soul who eats of the meat of the sacrifice of fellowship offering belongs to Adonai, having his uncleanness on him. That soul is to be cut off from his people. If anyone touches any unclean thing, whether the uncleanness of man or an unclean animal or any unclean detestable thing, and eats some of the meat of the sacrifice of fellowship offering belonging to Adonai, that soul is to be cut off from his people. Adonai spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to Bnei Israel, saying, You are to eat no fat of a bull or sheep or goat. The fat of a dead animal or the fat of a torn animal may be used for any other service, but you must not eat it. For if anyone eats the fat of the animal from which an offering is made by fire to Adonai, then the soul who eats it is to be cut off from his people. You are not to eat any blood, whether it is from a bird or an animal, in any of your dwellings. Whoever it is who consumes any blood, that soul is to be cut off from his people. Then Adonai spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to Bnei Israel, saying, Whoever brings the sacrifice of his fellowship offerings to Adonai is to present his offerings to Adonai out of the sacrifice of his fellowship offerings. With his own hands he is to bring Adonai's offerings by fire. He is to present the fat with the breast, so that the breast may be waved for a wave offering before Adonai. The Kohen is to burn up the fat and smoke on the altar, but the breast will belong to Aaron and his sons. The right thigh you are to give to the Kohen for a contribution out of the sacrifices of your fellowship offerings. The one among Aaron's sons who offers the blood of the fellowship offering, and the fat is to have the right thigh for a portion. For the breast of the wave offering and the thigh contribution I have taken from the Israel out of the sacrifices of their fellowship offerings, and I've given them to Aaron the Kohen and to his sons as their portion forever from Bnei Israel. This is the anointed portion of Aaron and the anointed portion of his sons out of the offerings of Adonai made by fire. On the day when he presented them to serve Adonai in the office of Kohen, Adonai commanded these to be given to them from Bnei Israel on the day that he anointed them. It is their portion forever throughout their generations. This is the Torah of the burnt offering, the grain offering, the sin offering, the trespass offering, the ordination offering, and the sacrifice of fellowship offerings, which Adonai commanded Moshe at Mount Sinai on the day he commanded Bnei Israel to present their offerings to Adonai in the wilderness of Sinai. Chapter 8. Then Adonai spoke to Moshe, saying, Take Aaron and his sons with him, the garments, the anointing oil, the bull of the sin offering, the 2 rams, and the basket of matzot. Then assemble all the congregation at the entrance of the tent of meeting. So Moshe did as Adonai commanded him. When the congregation was assembled at the entrance of the tent of meeting, Moshe said to the congregation, This is what Adonai has commanded to be done. Moshe brought Aaron and his sons and washed them with water. He put the tunic on Aaron, tied a sash on him, clothed him with the robe, but put the ephod on him, and tied the skillfully decorated sash of the ephod around him and fastened it on him. He then placed the breastplate on Aaron, and inside the breastplate he put the Urim and the Thummim. He set the turban on his head, and on front of the turban he set the golden plate, the holy crown, just as Adonai commanded Moshe. Moshe took the anointing oil and anointed the tabernacle and all that was in it, and so consecrated them. He sprinkled the oil on the altar 7 times, and anointed the altar and all its utensils, the basin with its stand, to consecrate them. He poured some of the anointing oil on Aaron's head and anointed him to consecrate him. Then Moshe brought Aaron's sons and clothed them with tunics, tied sashes on them, and fastened headbands on them, as Adonai had commanded Moshe. Then he brought the bull of the sin offering, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands on the head of the bull of the sin offering. Moshe then slaughtered it, took the blood, and dabbed it on the horns of the altar with his finger, and he purified the altar. Then he poured out the blood at the base of the altar and consecrated it to make atonement for it. He then took all the fat that was on the innards and the cover of the liver and the 2 kidneys and their fat, and burned it up as smoke on the altar. But the bull and its hide, its flesh and its dung, he burned with fire outside the camp, as Adonai had commanded. He then presented the ram of the burnt offering, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands on the head of the ram. Then Moshe slaughtered it and splashed the blood around the altar. After he cut the ram into its pieces, Moshe burned the head, the pieces, and the fat. He washed the innards and the legs with water. Then Moshe burned the whole ram up in smoke on the altar. It was a burnt offering for a soothing aroma, an offering by fire to Adonai, as Adonai had commanded Moshe. Then he presented the second ram, the ram of ordination, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands on the head of the ram. Moshe slaughtered it, took some of its blood, and put it on the tip of Aaron's right ear, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the great toe of his right foot. Then Moshe brought Aaron's sons and put some of the blood on the tips of their right ears, on the thumbs of their right hands, and on the great toes of their right feet. Then Moshe splashed the blood around on the altar. He took the fat tail, and all the fat that was on the innards, as well as the cover of the liver, the 2 kidneys that with their fat, and the right thigh. Then out of the basket of matzah that was before Adonai, he took 1 matzah cake, 1 cake of oiled bread, and 1 wafer, and placed them on the fat and on the right thigh. He put all these in Aaron's hands and in the hands of his sons, and waved them for a wave offering before Adonai. Then Moshe took them from their hands and burned them up in the smoke on the altar with the burnt offering. They were a consecration for soothing aroma. It was an offering by fire to Adonai. Moshe took the breast and waved it for a wave offering before Adonai. It was Moshe's portion of the ram of ordination, just as Adonai commanded Moshe. Then Moshe took some of the anointing oil and some of the blood which was on the altar, and sprinkled it on Aaron, on his garments, and on his sons, and on his sons' garments with him. So he consecrated Aaron, his garments, his sons, and his sons' garments with him. Moshe then said to Aaron and his 2 sons, Boil the meat at the entrance of the tent of meeting, and eat it there, along with the bread that is in the basket of ordination, as I commanded, saying, Aaron and his sons are to eat it. What remains of the meat and of the bread you shall burn with fire. You are not to go out from the entrance of the meeting of tent for 7 days, until the days of your ordination are fulfilled, for he will be filling your hands for 7 days. What has been done this day? Adonai has commanded to be done in order to make atonement for you. You are to stay at the entrance of the tent of meeting day and night for 7 days, and keep Adonai's command, so that you do not die. For so I have been commanded. Thus Aaron and his sons did all the things that Adonai commanded through Moshe.